Well, good morning and welcome. Today's session, we're going to be going through the El Paso matrix system. Matrix is up and running. It is a live system. You'll access matrix the same way you access Fusion today. From the same dashboard, you'll notice the matrix icon on there, and if you click on that, it'll log you into matrix. When you log into matrix, this is your home page. This is the initial page that you'll see. Your home page won't look exactly like mine necessarily because the home page is completely configurable. You can put the gadgets anywhere you want on the page. If I want to move this gadget over here, I can click on it and drag it over here. I can move this one up. So you can configure the page any way you want. However you leave the page configured, that's the way it'll look on any device. And Matrix will work on any device. It'll work on your iPad, it'll work on your tablet. So however you configure it is the way it'll look on all those devices. So you may want to configure it with your, keeping in mind your smallest device with your more important gadgets at the top to reduce on having to scroll. Matrix is also usable from any browser. You can use Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, your browser of choice. Any of these gadgets that are on your home page can also be minimized. You'll notice when I hover over a header, it'll show me a minimize button. I can minimize it so it doesn't take up as much space. Or if there's a gadget that I completely don't want on my screen, like for instance, I don't have any listings, I can completely throw that gadget away by hitting the X. If you do throw any gadgets away, or you decide later you want to use a gadget, under the additional gadget is where all gadgets go. So there's my listings. I can drag it back out, put it on my screen, and now going forward from any device, this is how my screen would look. First thing we're going to do today is we're going to go through all of the gadgets on the home page. We're then going to go through the menu system. And then at that point, we'll get into searching, printing, emailing, all of your day-to-day activities. So let's start with the gadgets. The first gadget in the top left is the news and alerts. This is the only gadget that cannot be moved or configured. It's always going to be up in the top left corner. From time to time, when you log into the system, you're going to get a pop-up message that comes up in the middle with important information from the board. There'll initially be two buttons at the bottom. One of it will say, I'll read this later, and one will say, I've read this. If you click on, I'll read this later, it'll keep reminding you until you've had an opportunity to read it, and then it'll store away in the side if you need to refer to it for a period of time. The next gadget we come to is hot sheets. The hot sheet functionality in Matrix is the same as you had in Fusion. You can run your hot sheet for the last 24 hours, today since midnight, 3 days back, 7 days back. You can even run a custom one up to 30 days back. The main difference with the hot sheet in Matrix is in Matrix, it's completely customizable. If I click on Customize, and I'll go ahead and customize my residential, so I'll edit the criteria. I can set my hot sheet up to be anything I want, a certain subdivision, maybe a zip code. I can even go as far as going into a map search, and I can determine this is the part of town that I work in. This is the area of the market that I want to stay on top of. Now that I've saved that, when I go back to my home page and I run my residential hot sheet for the last 3 days, it's only going to show me activity in that area defined on the map. It'll show me new listings, back on markets, listings that expired, if any listings sold, any listings were canceled. So the hot sheet allows you to keep up with any market you're interested in. And again, you can customize it to be a zip code, a price range of homes, any criteria you want to define your hot sheet. Also under Customize, you have the ability to add additional hot sheets. So if you keep an eye on 2 or 3 different markets, you can add those additional hot sheets, and then they'll be printed right underneath the cross property. It'll show any additional ones that you have. The MarketWatch gadget. The MarketWatch gadget is nothing other than an additional hot sheet. It works exactly like the hot sheet. It identifies new listings, back on markets, price changes, pending, sold, all the same information that's in the hot sheet. The difference is it's a more graphical view, and it shows you right on the graphic how many listings you have in the different categories. If I clicked on any of the categories, it would show me the listings that fall in that category. And again, I can adjust it for the last 24 hours, today since midnight, 3 days back, 7 days back. So I can quickly adjust it to look at what activity has been going on however I have that configured, because your MarketWatch is also customizable, and you customize it to be the same as your hot sheet, just with a more graphical view, or you can set your MarketWatch up to be a totally different market. It's totally up to you. The next gadget we come to, my favorite searches. This gadget to me can also be used as a type of hot sheet, because if I come in here and I click on any of these, like I'll click on what I have defined as El Paso downtown, and it'll show me all the listings that match that criteria. So it's an easy way for me, right from my home page, to see what listings are available in any criteria I've set up. But I can also use this as a type of hot sheet, because when I go to start my day, I can come down here to update all. I can click on it, and it's going to run all of those searches, and you can have up to 10 of them. And it's going to tell you, since the last time you looked at each individual search, how many new listings there are. You'll notice El Paso downtown has 0 new because we just looked at everything that matched. However, the search that I have designed and called High Dollar Homes has 6 new. I may not have looked at that for a couple days. So if I want, I could click that link and look at just the new listings, or I could click here and see all of them that match. Any search that you go in the system and define with any criteria, you have the ability, if you want to save it as a favorite on your home screen. And then from here, you can run it any time. We'll learn more about saving the favorite searches when we're in searching later in the session. My stats, the stats inside of Matrix are really, really phenomenal. Whether you're a statistician or not, I think you'll get use out of the stats. And any stat that you go in the system and define, you have the ability, if you'd like to save it to the gadget on your home page. And then at any given time, you can click on it and get up-to-the-minute statistics. We're going to go through the statistics, how to save to this gadget when we're in the menu system in just a few minutes. The My Carts. My Carts is a new feature that you have in Matrix. You have a cart for yourself, and you have a cart for each one of your clients. All a cart is a repository of listings, somewhere where you can stick listings to refer back to at a later time. Some of the uses I've seen of carts is people when they're working on something, they're working on a CMA, or they're sitting with a client working on a complex search, and they come across a listing and, oh, that listing might be really good for another one of my contacts. They can quickly stick that listing in that contact's cart, continue what they're doing, and then refer back to that listing at a later time, research it, email it, whatever they'd like to do. Another use I've seen for carts is every time they print out driving directions for a client, every time they take a client to show them homes, they'll put those listings in that client's cart. And then 3-4 weeks down the line, you can sit down with that client, show them their cart, and show them, look at all the homes that now are off the market. Because once you put a listing into a cart, it's going to stay in that cart until you remove it. So if it's changed status, if it's changed price, it's going to show you the current state of that listing. Again, when we're in searching, you'll see how you can save listings to your client's cart. All of your clients have a cart, and your client knows nothing about the cart. It's strictly for your use to track listings tied to that client. The My Listing gadget is fairly clear. If I had any listings, I'd have links here for my active listings or my pending listings or listings that are going to expire in the next 14 days. And if I clicked on any of those links, it would show me the listings that fall in that category. The additional gadget, we already spoke about that. That's where any gadgets go that you clear off your screen so you can pull them back out. Now keep in mind, a lot of these gadgets are going to be empty when you first log in the system. My favorite searches, my stats will be empty because you haven't saved anything to that gadget. The recent used contacts is another gadget that'll be empty. We've brought over all of your contacts from Fusion, as long as they had a first name, a last name, and an email address. So when you go into Matrix, if you see you're missing any of your contacts, it was missing one piece of that information, either the first name, last name, or email address. If you go into Fusion and you add the missing piece of information, it'll then come over, that contact will then come over into Matrix within an hour. So if you have missing contacts, now's the time while Fusion's still up and running that you can go in, add the piece of information that's missing, first name, last name, or email address, and your client will migrate over for you. As I mentioned, all of your contacts are here, but this gadget will still be empty. What this gadget does is if you do something for a contact, you email them some listings, you set them up for auto notification, you update their information, the system will automatically put them in this gadget. The system assumes if you're doing something for someone, you're probably going to do something else. You're actively working with that contact. So it'll put a quick link here so you can quickly click on the name and go to that contact's details. I could always come up to my Matrix contacts, look at my list of 200 contacts, find Jessica Smith, and click on her name to get her details. But being that Jessica is one of the people I'm actively working with, the system put a link right here for me to quickly click on to get to her details. Recent portal visitors. What the portal is your client's view of the information that you've shared with them. When your clients go to their portal, it's going to show you that they went to their portal. It's going to tell you when they last went to their portal. And it's also going to keep you up to date on what they're doing on their portal. If they're saving any listings as favorites or possibilities, they can categorize the listings, ones they really like and ones that are possibilities. If they categorize any listings, you'll have a link here. If you click on that link, it would show me the favorite or possibility. If your client can add notes on the listings, when they're looking at the listings, they can put notes on the listings, things they're interested in, questions for you. If they put any notes on any listings, it's going to put an icon right here. And again, if you click on that icon, it's going to show you the note that they left. So you can see here the contacts that are really actively looking for a home. They're going to their portal. They're investigating the listings. They're saving favorites and possibilities. They're leaving notes either for you, which you can respond to, or they're putting notes on things they like about properties. We're going to talk a lot about the portal throughout the session today, so I think it's important for you to have a good understanding of the portal. So we're going to jump out of Matrix for just a moment here, and we're going to go to one of my clients' portals. On this portal, the system puts all of the information in one place for my client. If I send my client any emails, it puts them right here in this gadget, the direct emails and reports. I can click on these, I can see the emails. They no longer have to go back to their email box to find emails from you. All they have to do is go to their portal, and all the emails, whether you sent them listings, directions, statistics, all of them are in this gadget in one place. How do they get to their portal? Anytime you send them any information, you send them some listings, you send them a report, when they click on the link in the email, it will open up their portal. At that point, they can save their portal as a favorite, or in their bookmarks, so they can go directly to their portal going forward. There's no passwords, there's nothing they have to do. It is just click on the favorite that they have saved and it'll take them to their portal. So it's a good place they can go to, and everything involved in their real estate transaction is right here in one place for them. In the next gadget, the recent notes. This is, as I mentioned, the client can put notes on a property, things they like about the property, questions for you. If you respond to any of those notes, it'll show them. And then in this gadget, it keeps the most recent notes to keep them up to date on the conversations going back and forth. Now up here on the top right, you'll see favorites designated by a heart, possibilities with the light bulb, and rejects. Your client can also reject listings that they're not interested in, but it'll still keep it in this bucket. So if they want to return later and revisit a listing, they can see the listings that they've rejected, and then they can unreject them or save them as a favorite or possibility. Now down here in the bottom left, you'll see favorites. These are the ones that the client has categorized as their favorites, and it's keeping them up to date on the listings. For example, this listing, one of the client's favorites, is now pending. They missed their opportunity on the listing. So it's going to display their favorites, keeping them in front of them, keeping them excited about it, and also letting them know if they're missing opportunities, which hopefully will motivate them to make a quicker decision. Back over here on the top right, you have My Searches and also Start a Search. Your client from your portal can run their own searches the same way they can on other websites. The difference is when they run a search on your portal, they're looking at the live database. If a listing sold last night and they run a search, they won't find it because it's not available any longer. If a listing changed price a minute ago and they look at that listing, they're going to see the current price. So searching on your portal is a lot more powerful than them going to Realtor.com or some of those other broker websites, because they're looking at the live data. When your client's doing their searching, they can also save searches. So if they find an area that's not necessarily the one that they're working in, that they have you looking for, but they find another area that really interests them, they can save that search so they can refer back to that area and monitor what's going on in that area. They can do the same thing on other websites. The difference here is if they save a search on your portal, you know, because in their contact record, it's going to show you what else they're looking at. So by using your portal, you stay tightly connected to your client. On your portal, your client will see no information about any other agents or brokers like they do on the other websites. The only information they're going to see is your information. So again, it keeps you tightly connected to your client. And this last gadget down here, auto searches. This is any auto notifications that you have set up for your client. So at any time they can click on any of those links and see what homes meet their criteria in whatever areas you have set up for them. So as you can see, the portal is one-stop shopping for your client. They can come right here and see everything and keep up to date on everything in their real estate search. Now, when your client gets an email from you in their email box and they click on that email, it's going to open the portal like this. It's going to take them to the property page, the property tab, where they can see the listings that were included in that email. And they can see these listings different ways. This is the single line, which might be really nice for their phone. So on their phone, they may like this display. From this display, they can save favorites, possibilities. They can reject listings. They can put notes on listings. But they may not like this display on their desktop. They have the ability on their portal to look at the listings in any format, any client-friendly format that they want. So on their desktop, they may like to look at the split view, which shows them the map, shows them where the properties are on the map, and also a snapshot of the property. And you'll notice as I hover over a property, it's showing me on the map where that property is located. Again, from this view, I can save favorites, possibility, I can reject listings, add notes to them. And there's many other displays. They may want to look at the client full display that shows them all of the information about the property, all of the client-friendly information. And again, from this display, favorites, possibilities, rejects, and notes. Whichever display they look at on any device, when they return to their portal on that device, it's going to remember and it's going to show them this on their phone or the split view on their desktop. So there's different ways that they can look at the data. Now, one thing that's very important to note, all emails going out of Matrix go to a portal. It depends on if they're a client or not, what features they get. If they're a client, they get all of the information we just talked about. They get the dashboard where they can maintain everything. They can save favorites, possibilities. They can run their own search. If it's not a client, if it's not someone in your contact database, the only functionality they will have on the portal is to be able to look at the listings that were included in that email. They can look at them in all these different displays, but if they are not a contact, they will only be able to look at the listings. So that's the portal. This is your client's view of the information. Now we're going to jump back into Matrix. For the last couple minutes, we've been the client. We're now back in the Matrix application. We're now the agent again. The next gadget we come to, Concierge. Concierge is a new feature for you in Matrix. It is an option when you're saving an auto notification search. So when you're saving an auto notification search, you can elect whether you want to put it in concierge mode or not. What concierge mode does is it puts you in the middle of the auto notification process. Hopefully we all know how auto notification works. You go in the system, define your client's criteria. You put that criteria in a search, and you pull up the listings that match their criteria. You then have the ability to save it in auto notification. And what the system will do is it'll run that search as you've designated, daily, a couple times a day, once a week. It'll run that search, and then it'll send an email to your client if any new activity, if new listings come on the market. So it's a way for you to have the system do the work for you and notify your clients of what's happening in their criteria, what's happening in their area. What Concierge does is allows you to put yourself in the middle of that process. For example, concierge will run constantly. It won't run daily or weekly. It'll run constantly. And if it finds any listings, it's going to notify you, the agent, and allow you to look at those listings, research those listings, determine if you want your client to see the listings. For example, I've got 5 listings here waiting for Jessica Smith. Jessica has not seen these listings. If I click on that link, it's going to show me those 5 listings. And I can do my research on those listings. I can determine if it does actually match her criteria or not. And if this one I determine and this one do not meet her criteria, I can reject them. Jessica will never see those 2 listings. And then I could come up here, I could check the rest, and I could approve them. And then the email would go to Jessica with only those 3 listings that I approved. So it's a way for you to be able to look at the listings, research the listings, whatever you need to do before your client sees them, and determine if you want your client to see them. It is a total optional feature. You can decide on a per search basis if you want to use concierge or not. If you do not use concierge for any of your searches, you will not have this gadget. So when you log into the system, none of you will have the concierge gadget. As soon as you set up at least one of your searches in concierge mode, this gadget will appear on your screen. You may have 15 auto emails set up. And if you don't have any of them set up in concierge mode, you will not have that gadget. But if you have at least one of them set up in concierge mode, you'll have that gadget. So again, it's a total optional feature. And the last gadget we have here are some external links. These are some sites that the board felt that you guys used and would be helpful to you, and all I'd have to do is click on any of these and it would open up a new browser window and take me to that web page so I could do whatever I needed to, wanted to, and then when I close that window down, I'm still in the MLS application. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the toolbar across the top. This information above where I'm moving my cursor, this is all part of the toolbar. Everything from here up. The toolbar is always on the top of your screen throughout the application. The main part of your screen will change depending on where you're at in the application. For example, I'm on the home page, so it's showing me the home page gadgets. This will change depending on what tab you're on, but your menu bar will always remain across the top. The first tab we come to is search. This is where all of your searching is done. Whether you're searching for property, whether you're searching for an agent or an office. If I click on more, this is where all of your searches are. Agent, office, history searches, open house searches. So any type of searching you're doing in the system will be located under the search tab. We're going to go through the rest of the menu bar and then we'll come back to the search tab. The next tab we come to is stats. If I click on stats, and let's just pick the historic sales price trend and generate, there it's just generated the last 10 years of statistics, the sales price for the El Paso MLS. It's got the last 10 years, almost 34,000 listings. This demonstrates how fast Matrix is. You saw how fast these results came up, even on a webinar. That's how fast Matrix is. That's the type of performance you're going to see from any device. Not only do I have this graph that shows the trend, but I can go and click on data, and I'll see the actual data that went into producing that graph. If I want to get that data out of the system, I can come down here to export, and I'm going to export it into Excel. So very quickly I can get the information into Excel and do whatever I wanted to with it in Excel. If I wanted to do some more calculations or make my own graphs in Excel, I have the actual data. Going over to the side, I can actually customize any of this information. So if I go into customize, I can say I don't want the past 5 years, I just want last year. And in addition to the sales price median, I want to add some advanced features. I want to add some more statistics. So if I click there, I can add another statistic. I have all of these statistics available, number of active listings, but I want the list price median. So I'll have the sale price median and the list price median. I want them to look the same, so I'm going to make this a smooth line, and now I'm going to generate. Now I'm going to generate just last year, and I've added the list price. So you saw how quickly I could customize it. I could create my own statistic. And if I create a statistic that I want to maintain, I have the ability to save it. I can come in here, I can name it whatever I want. Here's where, if I wanted to, I could put it on that home page widget. So at any given time, I could run this statistic and get up to the minute results. Now, I've been running statistics on the entire MLS. Mainly, I wanted to show you the speed of the system. But if I come up here to search, I can get statistics on anything I want. I can get statistics on a certain subdivision, a certain city, a zip code, maybe price range homes, or maybe 5-bedroom homes. I can add additional fields, so I could put any field in the MLS that I have the ability to add to the screen, and I can get statistics on that. I can even go as far as drawing a map. And this is where I think it becomes powerful, because you guys are experts in the market that you deal with. But what happens when you have a client come to you that wants to live somewhere you're not comfortable with? You work out on this side of town, but your client wants to live over here where you're not familiar with what the houses are going for, what the turnover rate is, how quickly they're going off the market. So you can come in here and you can define any area you want. So that's where my client wants to live. So I'll say, okay, I'll generate statistics, and now it's generating statistics on just that area. I can see what the prices are running. I can run any of these statistics. I can make myself a market expert on any search criteria, any type of home. I can email or print this, so I can share this with my client to show them what's happening in their area, to show them the value of a realtor, the information that you have at your fingertips. So that's the statistics. The next tab we come to is My Matrix. This is the heart of your system. This is where your contacts are. Any of your saved searches, auto notifications, any of your customization of the system. So this is where all of your personalized information is. And we'll come back to that shortly. The next tab we come to is Tax. We hover over Tax, you'll see you have your realist tax or your RPR. And by clicking on either one of those, it'll open up a new window, and it'll take me to that application so I can do whatever I want to there. Nothing will change there. It'll be the same way you're doing it today in Fusion. The next tab we come to Finance. There's some financial calculators out here for you, amortization charts, net proceeds, buyer's closing costs. So there's just some financial functions that you can link to. This next tab, input. None of you will have an input tab. Input will not be available in Matrix until Fusion goes away. So for the next month or so, any input, any changing of listings, any uploading of photos, any new listings, you'll have to do in the Fusion application. Within 15 minutes, anything that you do in Fusion will come over into Matrix. So Matrix is a live system with good data. The only thing you have to use Fusion for going forward is if you need to make changes to a listing. In May, when Fusion is shut down, your input functionality will move into Matrix. So you will not have this tab until Fusion goes away. However, I'm going to give you a preview of what it's going to look like. I know agents get anxious when a new system's coming that they're not going to know how to get their information in the system. So I want to give you a quick preview of input in Matrix, which again, you will not have available to you until Fusion goes away in May. If I go into input, I can add a new or edit a listing. So I'm just going to add a new because the main thing I want to show you is the different look and feel of Matrix. First thing any listing maintenance product is going to do is it's going to ask you what property type, so it knows what fields to present to you. We're going to do a residential. There's 3 different ways to start a listing. Your most common way is the default, fill from realist tax, where you'll put in the address or the owner information. You'll pull up the tax record and you'll populate it into your listing. So you don't have to go to the county and write down the information to put in your listing. You can pull it all from whichever county right here through realist. Again, this is the typical way you will start most of your listings. You can copy an existing listing. Maybe you had a house on the market and then they took it off the market for a couple months and now they're ready to sell it again. You can copy that information into your new listing. Or another nice feature in Matrix is maybe you had a house that you had been renting out for a client and now they've decided they want to sell it. You can copy your rental listing into your for sale listing so you don't have to retype everything. You'll have to type sale specific information, but it's going to bring over all of the information that you had in the rental listing. And the last way to start a listing is with a completely blank listing where you have to fill in every field. I don't see you using this unless the property is so new there's not even a tax record, but I'm going to start with a blank listing because what I want to do is show you how it looks. Matrix breaks the listing information into different sections. It puts the information across your screen so it's easier to use. You can see more information at once. There's very little scrolling. Today in Fusion, all of your fields go down the left-hand side of the page and you have to scroll up and down until you find the field you want. Here all you do is you move from tab to tab. The fields are laid out across the screen. All of the selections that you have, all of your required fields, when input moves over into Matrix, they will all be the same as you've been putting in Fusion. So you're putting in the same data that you're putting in Matrix. Matrix is just set up more user-friendly, easier to use. So there's no big concern about, oh my gosh, we're going to a new system. I'm going to have to input different data. I'm going to have to find different controls. different fields I can put in. It will all be the same information. One important thing I want to note is it will show you where the property was mapped. That is not always correct. I'm sure all of us at one time or another had printed out driving directions from some online service, MapQuest, Google, whatever, and the directions didn't take us to where we wanted to go. That does happen. So right down here, let me go back, right down here at the bottom of the map, it says set lat long manually. If I click on that, it'll show me where the property was mapped. So let's say that's where Microsoft mapped this property. But that property is actually over here. It's very important that we fix that. I'm going to show you later in the session map searching. And if someone has a client that wants to live on the west side of 54, where this property is actually located, but it's mapped wrong, if they draw a shape, they will not find this property, even if everything's correct in the listing, because it's not mapped right. All you need to do to map it properly is come place new pin, go over to where the house actually is located, click on it, it'll move the pin over there, and then when you say done, inside the MLS, that property will be matched properly so it can be found by people doing a map search. You'll notice at the bottom here, I can submit the listing. If I submit a listing, that means every field, every required field has to be filled in, and everybody can see the listing. All the other agents can see the listing. All of their clients can see the listing on their portal. The third-party vendors will all be able to pull the data to put on their website. So submitting the listing makes it available for everyone to see. You also have the ability to save as incomplete. I'd recommend you save every listing when you get Add, Edit, and Matrix, which will be sometime in May, to save them as incomplete. Because in Matrix, in the incomplete status, you can upload your photos. You can put your attachments on the listing. You can get all of your media attached to the listing while only you can see the listing. And then when you go back and activate it, the first time anyone sees your listing, it's going to have all of your marketing materials attached to it. So you'll always want to save it as incomplete, upload all your photos, attach any attachments to the listing, get the listing ready for presentation, and then change the status to active. So that's some of the features of Add Edit. Again, you will not have this input tab until Fusion goes away in May. Until that time, you'll continue doing all Add Edit functions in Fusion, but within 15 minutes of doing anything in Fusion, that information will be in Matrix. So I encourage all of you, starting today, use Matrix as your primary system. Use it for everything. You're searching, you're emailing your clients, setting up your auto notifications. The only thing you have to do in Fusion between now and mid-May, is any changes to listings. All right, the next tab we come to market reports. The reports that you have available will depend on your login credentials, what accesses you have. For example, most agents will not have the office production. That's for the office. But there's different reports here you can do to find out your productivity, that type of thing. Under links, there's some more helpful links that the boards put out here, sites that they feel you guys use. So you can go to the links and you can click on any of these and it would take you directly to that application in a new browser window. You will not have an admin tab. That's for my access. Help. Under the Help tab, there's a lot of helpful information. There's even some recorded videos here with breakdowns like for searching or for portal, different pieces of the system. So there's some good tutorials in here. There's also some Q&As where you can get answers to some of your frequent questions. I also want to point out this right here, Matrix Support. If I click on that, it's going to show me an 800 number. At this toll-free number is CoreLogic's answer link. At this number, if you have any questions about how to use the system, they can help you with it. You shouldn't have any sort of technical issues with Matrix, but if you do, they can also help you with this. But this is a good source of how do I do this? I saw something in the webinar, I don't remember how to do it. Or how do I do this in the system? They can help you, walk you through the different parts of the system. All right, let's go back to the My Matrix tab. As I said, the My Matrix tab, this is all of your information, your contacts, your searches, all of your information. First, let's take a look at contacts. As I mentioned, we brought all of your contacts into the system for you, as long as they had a first name, a last name, and an email address. So when you go to My Matrix Contacts, you should see your contacts that you had in Fusion. Again, if there's any missing, if you go back into Fusion, put in the missing information, first name, last name, or email address, that contact will move over for you into Matrix. You do not need to re-enter it. Your contacts is going to show underneath any information you've done for them in Matrix. Now your contacts won't have many links under here because you haven't done anything for them in Matrix. But notice every contact has a portal. Every contact has a cart. They're automatically created when the contact's put in. Let's take a look at some of these links. Portal activity. I can see every time my client's been to their portal. If they did something on their portal, like save a favorite, add a note, I can go right here and I can see what they're doing. So I can see how much my client's using their portal, what they're doing on the portal. I can also look at portal searches. Remember I mentioned your client can save their own searches on the portal. If I click here, I can see, here's the search that Jessica saved. I can open it up. I can see what her criteria is. I can look at what the results are inside the system, or I can look at how she's seeing the results on her portal. So again, I know what Jessica's doing, what she's looking at. This is any auto emails that I have set up for my client. Whether they're in concierge mode or not, it'll show them under auto emails. CMAs, one thing to mention, CMAs never move between applications. So the CMAs that you have in Fusion will not come over into Matrix. This is only CMAs done in Matrix. So if you have any CMAs in Fusion that you want to maintain between now and May when the Fusion system is shut down, you'll need to recreate them in Matrix. Sent email. Every email that you sent to your client, whether it's an auto email or a direct email, some listings that you just selected and emailed to your client. So it keeps a copy of every email that goes out of the system. So it's not, if you don't want to, it's not necessary to copy yourself on every email you send a client. Because if a client calls with a question, I can come right here, I can click on the email, and I can see what was included in that email. So it keeps a copy of all of the emails for you. The next we come to is saved searches and auto emails. In Fusion, all searches went into the Saved Search Manager. And you'd go there and you'd see all of your searches. In Matrix, they're divided into two different buckets. You have your saved searches. Saved searches is a search that's just sitting in Matrix, waiting for you to log into Matrix and run it and see up-to-the-minute results. That's a saved search. It's not doing anything except sitting there waiting for you to run it. Auto emails. These are the ones that you have working for you. The ones that are notifying your client, whether they're in concierge mode or not. They're auto emails. Now, we brought all of your searches that you had in Fusion, we brought them over for you. Whether they were auto notification or they just were a saved search that you had in the system. We brought them over for you. We brought them all in as saved searches. We did not bring your auto emails in and turn them on to auto email, or all of your clients would have started getting emails from both systems. So your searches are here. They're just all under saved searches. What you'll have to do is you'll have to come in here when you're ready to start them up in Matrix. You'll need to turn them off in in Fusion and turn them on in Matrix. So all of your searches that came over as a saved search. If you want to turn them into auto notification search, you'll need to come into Matrix, go to the settings, and turn it into an auto email. It's a very quick process, but you will need to move over all of your auto emails, and we brought them over, but you'll have to activate all of your auto emails that you want to start up in Matrix. So that's something you should do over the next month while Fusion's still there. Just turn them off in Fusion and initiate them auto email in Matrix. All new contacts you should definitely set up in Matrix rather than setting them up at Fusion in this point. The next tab, the next selection we come to is My Listings. If I click on My Listings, if I had any listings, it would show them to me. Here's all the different categories, my active listings, pending, expired, my office listings. There's one thing hidden in here though that I want to show you, my hit counters. If I click on that, if I had listings, it would show me my listings. And then it would show me some really neat statistics. How many portals is it out on? How many searches does it match? How many people have it saved as a favorite? How many emails has it gone out in? Some really great information to share with your client to show them the exposure their listing's getting, or not getting if they don't have it priced where you think they should. Now this information isn't going to be real exciting at this point because people are still using Fusion, but come June, July, when everyone's on Matrix, it's some really nice statistics. The next one we come to is My Information. That's also under Settings, so we'll come back to that. My CMAs are any CMAs that you've done in Matrix. Sent email. The system saves a copy of every email that went out of the system, whether it went to a customer like Jessica. You'll notice here these are links. Or if it just went to someone's random email address. What you folks seem to like about this feature is over here, the viewed column, where you can see when or if your client ever looked at that email. We'll come back to settings in just a second. Portal greeting. Portal greeting is a way for you to communicate with all of your clients at once. If you save a new greeting, the next time your client goes to their portal will open up with the greeting up top. You're giving them the information. Once they read the information, they can close it down and it won't bother them again until the next time you send out a portal greeting. Or if they need to refer to it, they can click on it and refer to it. And the last thing we have under My Matrix is settings. If I click on settings, this is all of my customization of the system. My information. If I click on My Information, this is the information that came in from Fusion, which originated in your member record. The information that you put in here will be used inside of Matrix only. It will not go back to your membership system. This is strictly for use inside of Matrix. So for example, maybe you have a different cell phone number that you use for your clients. You can put that information in here, so it'll be available on the portal, that type of thing. We've also given you a couple of extra fields called tagline and additional information, where you can put any information in that you want to utilize in the system. That'll become clear when we get to the mobile header and the portal information in just a second. Header and footer. This is your header for your portal. You already have a header, you already have a portal, but you can change it to one of the basic templates here if you'd like. So you can change the color, the information that's showing. Or if you noticed on my portal, I've got this fancy header across the top. You can upload your own header if you'd like to. If you go to upload, it'll show you the size of the image that you need to upload in pixels. So you can create your header image and you can upload it through the browse. You also have the ability, if you'd like to upload a header and a footer for printing. So when you're printing out client reports or any report, you have the option, if you'd like, to put your header and footer on the listing. These are options. You do not have to upload your own headers. Like I said, you can pick one of the defaults down here under the packages and you'll be fine. But you do have the ability to upload a custom one if you'd like to. Mobile header. This is the information that a client is going to see if they go to their portal on a small device, their phone. You can change how it looks. You can upload your own picture to put on it. You can change any of the information. For example, maybe I want to change it to I sell homes fast. You'll notice the information that's here came from information. So if there's something I want on here that's not in this list, I'd have to go to information, add it there, and then it would be available in the list. CMA cover sheet, that's what would be on the cover sheet of a presentation CMA. Portal information. Portal information is the information that is here on your client's portal. You can change the way that looks. You can change the information. You can add additional information, but you'll notice the information that's available is the information that came from information. So again, if you wanted something on your portal information that's not in the list, you'd go back to information, you'd add it there, and then it would be available for you to add to your portal. Email signature. This is pretty evidently the information that'll go on the bottom of any email that you send out of the system. So you can add pictures, you can bold, italicize, all of your normal features that you can do and customize your header the way your email signature the way you'd like it. Email signatures, so on, do not come over from Fusion, so you'll need to create your own here. And the last tab that we have, Agent Web Page. Here's where, if you'd like to, you could create a web page that you can use. So that's the information features. We're going to get into searching. You'll notice if you hover over the residential search, you'll see over to the side you have quick, detailed, and create your own. All these are your beginning templates. If I hover over the other property types, you'll see quick and detailed. Let's go ahead and select the quick. This is the one with the typical fields that you use for searching. It's designed to pretty much fit on your page so there's not scrolling up and down. You'll notice if I switch to the detailed, there won't be a big change to the screen. You'll notice it added appliances, and if I scroll down, it added the schools, that type of thing. So all that it is the beginning fields that are available. And if I switch to the create your own, all it'll have is status and map search. Any of these templates you can add additional fields to. So pick the template that serves your needs the best, and whatever template you start using, it'll automatically place it down here. So instead of having to come down and go over every time, the one that you're using, it'll place it here so you can just come down, click, and it'll take you to your template. As I mentioned, you can add additional fields to every template. So if the quick has the majority of everything that I use for searching typically, but there's a few more fields, 2, 3, 10 you want to add, you can come down here where it says additional fields, add. And if I want to add a field, such as one of the remarks fields, say I want to add the public remarks, move it over to the right. These are the fields that I've added to my template. These are all the fields that I could add. Now when I go back to my quick template, I'll have public remarks at the bottom. It'll be at the bottom of every quick, no matter what device I use. So you can go and you can add whatever fields you want at the bottom here to customize your template. You can also, of course, add a field for any given search. You can add it. That'll put it at the bottom of the template. When you're done with it, if you only needed it for one search and you want to clean it up, you can remove it and put it back, leaving just your ones that you want as default. Now there's some differences in searching in Matrix. The first one is under your statuses. If you pick any off-market statuses, it's going to immediately pick the last 6 months. You can change that. If you only want the last 3 months, you can change it to 90. Or you can go to the calendar and you can select a beginning and an ending. So that's how you'll select date ranges in Matrix. Any table-driven field, anywhere where you have multiple selections. For example, if I wanted Crescent, Bell City, and El Paso, you'll notice as I click on them, it's only selecting one of the fields. If I want to pick multiples, I will have to use my Control key or my Command key on a Mac, press it down, and select multiples. If I have multiple selections selected and I want to deselect, I can just, if I just click on it, it's going to select that one. So if you want to deselect one that's selected, again, you'll hold down your Control key or your Command key on a Mac, and you'll deselect them one at a time. That's for any table-driven field if you want to make multiple selections. If you ever forget how to do something in any field, if you hit the question mark, it'll remind you of how to use that type of field. The next field we come to is numeric fields, like price. If I put in, for example, 300, that's exactly 300,000. And you'll notice down in the bottom left, there's one match. So as soon as I'm typing in information, it's going to update my count on the fly. So there's one listing that's active that's exactly 300,000. If I want 300,000 or more, put a plus. And if I put the plus, you'll notice immediately there's 353 matches. If I wanted 300,000 or less, I'd replace the plus with a minus, and you'll notice there's 3,511 matches. And lastly, if I want a price range, I'd put 300-500, and that takes me to 259 matches. So as soon as you're typing in information, it's updating the count on the fly, running that search and updating the count on the fly. Now that's all numeric fields. And again, if I forget how, I've got the question mark, which tells you the same information that I just told you. But in bedrooms, for example, if I go to bedrooms and I put in 4, that's exactly 4 bedrooms. Most clients don't care if they get extra bedrooms for free, so typically I'd want to put the plus, which takes me to 218. So as you're typing information in, it runs the count on the fly and updates the information. The numeric one is any numeric field. So in square feet, if I typed in a value, it would only be exactly that value. The same thing with year built. If I typed in 2005, I'd only get 2005. So typically, with any numeric field, you're going to want to put an operand, plus, minus, or a range. Text fields, fields that you can type into. The wild card there is the asterisk. So if I want to know, do any of these public remarks have the word pool in them, I put asterisk, pool, asterisk, and 81 of them have pool somewhere in the public remarks. If I do not want any listings that have the word pool in the public remarks, in front of the asterisk I put an exclamation point, not containing pool, and there's 137. Again, if I forget how to use my wildcards in a field, if I click the question mark, it gives me the same information. Those are the differences in searching for the different type of fields. Typically, when you put in your criteria, the next thing you would do is go to results. Your navigation is up here in the top right. I'm going to, however, stop on the map so you can see on the map, it'll show me where the properties are located. If I hover over any of the properties, it'll give me a brief synopsis of the price, beds and baths. If I click on any of them, it'll give me some more information. Going to results. Here's your default result view. It should look very similar to what you had in Fusion. You can sort on any of the fields strictly by pressing on the heading. So if I press on address, it's going to sort by address. Or if I click on list price, it'll sort by list price ascending. If I click again, it'll sort descending. I can change the way this grid looks. If I want list price over in the beginning, I can come anywhere in the header, not on the word that would sort it, but anywhere else, and I get the 4 arrows. I can click and I can drag that anywhere I want. If I want to add any fields, maybe I want to add the zip code. If I click there, insert field, I want to add postal code. Apply. That'll add the postal code. If I want to remove any fields, I go anywhere in the header, not on the word, that would sort it. Get my 4 arrows, click again. Rather than insert, I want to remove that column. Maybe I want to remove the DT. So I can make my grid look however I want it to. I can add fields, I can remove fields, I can move fields by clicking and dragging. When I get this set the way I want it, if I want to save it, if I want to reuse this, I want to keep this as one of my available displays, I can come over here to this pencil and paper and I can click on it. And I can call this, for example, mine. And I want to save it. Now in my list of available displays, I've got mine. This my grid that I just created will also be available for printing. It'll also be available for export. So I can make as many different displays as I want. I might like this display when I'm looking at active listings, but maybe I want to create a sold display that shows all the sold information. Or maybe a display for when I'm looking at waterfront properties, or whatever type of different displays I want. I can create them. That would create not just a display, but it would also create an export, and it would also create a report. Let's say I like the one that I created, and I only want 10 on a page because I have a small monitor. Or maybe I want 100 on a page because I like to scroll up and down. The system's so fast. I can set which display I want, what sort order I want, and how many I want per page. And if that's what I want is my default, so when I go to results, instead of seeing the agent single line, I want to see my display with 100 per page. I can come over here to this gear, set that as my default. Then when I go to results, this is the way my results will look. Again, that's under the gear, set as default. And then at any given time, I can look at different displays. If I want to look at the agent full view, I can click there, it'll switch it to the agent full view, and I could go through the listings by hitting next. So you can set any of these different reports or any one you created as your default by using the gear. You'll notice on the full display, I've got a long list of icons. I've got my find icon. I've got my central lock icon. I've got all kinds of icons. Whereas on my single line, I've only got the basic ones, the ones that you use on a regular basis. So if you ever need to get to central lock, for example, you'd have to go to the full display, and then you could click on your settings for the central lock box, etc. Let's take a look at some of these icons. The first icon, if I click on that, it's going to show me the pictures. So there's the pictures for that property along with any description that the agent put on. So I can go through the pictures that way. Or I can come down here to this icon and I can look at all the small thumbnails. So there's all the small photos. I could also click on this icon, which would show me the medium-sized photos, again, with any comments that the agent put on. So there's different ways of viewing your photos. Now, once you start uploading photos through Matrix, the photos will end up being larger to fill this whole screen. So that's your photos icon. The next one we come to is the map. If I click on that, it's going to show me where the property is located on the map. Doesn't want to load. Let's try a different one. Let's go to this one. I can switch it from road view to automatic view, which will show me road view when it's far away, and when I get closer, it's going to show me the actual satellite view. I can zoom in and get a closer look at the property. There, loaded. Because we're linked to Realist, I can click on any parcel and get the owner information. Also, if it's available, you'll notice up here at the top, Google Street View. If I click on Google Street View, I can see what the property looks like from the road. I can turn around and I can see what's across the street. I can scroll through the neighborhood. So it's a way for you to see more information, see the neighborhood right from your office. On your client's portal, they also, if they're on your portal, will be able to see the Google Street View. On the map, there's all kinds of overlays that I can add. If I come to the layers, I can put on any of these different layers, the school districts, the zip code. I can put on parcel characteristics. Maybe I want the owner name on each of the parcels. There's some trending layers where I could put layers on that shows the percentage of properties in foreclosure, what the median square foot cost is. So there's all kinds of layers that you can put on the maps. The next icon we come to is the history. This will show me the history of that property, anytime it's been on the market before. Any documents that are attached to the listing. I can get to the documents. I can click on any of these links and it'll show me the documents. And we've got the realist tax. If I click on the realist tax, it'll open up the tax record for that property. And I can get the realist tax information, last market sales, mortgage history. And you've got your virtual tours, and if there were open houses, you'd have open houses. So that's some of the icons. Again, all of the icons are located on the agent full display. You'll have all of the icons. You'll notice across the bottom, my button bar is kind of grayed out at the moment. But as soon as I start selecting listings, that button bar brightens up and I can start doing things with those listings. If I wanted to email those 4 selected listings, I'd click on email. If I start typing in a client's name, it'll show me any clients that match, and then I can select them right here. By the same token, if I start typing in an email address, it'll show me any clients that email address starts like that, and I could select it from there. I can click on 2 and I can send it to multiple clients by holding down my control key or my command key, and I can send it to multiples. Or I could type in anyone's email address in there. They do not have to be a client. Keeping in mind, if I send it to someone that's not a client, they will not get the full use of the portal. If I get to this point and I want them to have the full use of the portal, I'd click on Create a New Contact. I'd put the first name, last name, and email address in as a minimum. I could show all fields and I could put in all kinds of information. But as a minimum, I need the first name, last name, and email address. That would then make them a client. They would have full use of the portal. There would be a cart created for them. They would be in my client database. And then I would type in a subject and whatever I wanted my email body to be. And then I would hit send. You'll notice there's no selection here to select what report to send to your client, but that's because all emails go to a portal, and then your client gets to view whatever report they want. So there's no reason to specify what report to send to your client. Then you hit send. The next selection we have on the button bar is print. I want to print those 4 listings. If I want to print multiples, like maybe I want to print the one that I created for myself, and maybe I want to do the client full for my client. I can select multiples by using my control key or my command key on a Mac. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm also going to put my header and footer on the report so you can see what that would look like. And when I preview it, you'll notice come on. Let's try that again. Preview. There we go. There's my header. Here's my report that I call mine. Here's my footer. On the next page, I'd have my header, I'd have my client reports, and at the bottom, I'd have my footer. Also, I've told you time before that all emails go to a portal, and all of the client reports are on the portal. But what if I need to get a confidential report, like the agent full? I need to get that to another listing agent, or I need to get it to an appraiser. I can send any report that I need to. I can email it through print and then email PDF. It's the email functionality for confidential reports is put under print so you don't accidentally email a full report to one of your clients and then they contact the listing agent or the owner and cut you out of the deal. If you want to email a confidential report, you have to think, I want to email something, so I go to print and then email PDF. The next button on the button bar is CMA. That's if these were 4 comparables that I wanted to use for a presentation CMA. I would click that, it would open up the CMA wizard and walk me through doing a presentation CMA, the same way you would in Fusion. The next button bar is the directions. If I click on directions, it's going to give me directions to those 4 properties. Matrix automatically puts the listings in the quickest driving route along with their directions. But that's not always possible due to appointments, that type of thing. If you need to change the order of them, all you'd have to do is grab one by clicking and drag it to wherever you need it to be. You can add a start. It would put the start at the top, maybe your office or your client's home. You can add a stop. It would put the stop down at the bottom. If the stop is where you wanted to take your client to lunch and it needed to be up in the middle, you could easily click, drag it where it needs to be. If you made any changes to the order, you'll need to regenerate the directions, and there it'll give you directions from the first to the second to the third, and the third to the fourth. It also gives you estimated miles and drive time, and at the top it gives you total miles and drive time. So if you need this for taxes at the end of the year, that type of thing, you could print it out, keep it in a file, and then the directions can either be printed or emailed. The next button we come to is stats. If I want some quick statistics for those 4 listings, there it gives me minimum, maximum, average, and median. You also have available another statistic function, quick CMA. If I click on that, it'll give me the same information, minimum, maximum, average, and median, but it'll also show me the actual listings that went into those statistics. So there I see the actual listings. I have minimum, maximum, average, and median. If I had different property types, I'd have that for all different statuses. I'd have that for the different statuses, and then down at the bottom, I would have quick statistics for all of the listings. There's also a 3-up comparison report. If I click on that, it'll show me the listings next to each other so I can compare bedrooms, baths, square footage, all that type of information. So there I have 3 next to each other. I also can export from here, and you'll notice in the export, there's the mine grid that I did. So if I wanted to create an export of data, I could do it through the grid and it would be available for export. And then you could also send those listings to Cloud CMA. So those are the buttons on the Actions button bar. The next button bar we come to is Refine. And this is if I only wanted to see the 4 listings I have selected. I could narrow them. If I click on narrow, it's going to take me to show me only those 4 listings. If I wanted to go back and see all of the listings again, up here it's kind of hard to see, but I would use these breadcrumbs here and I could go back to the original results and it would show me everything again. Or I could have used the browser back button. The browser back button is in Matrix, takes you back to the last page that you were on. However, if you're on results and you want to go back to criteria, here is how you go back to criteria, over here on the right. If I was on criteria and I went to results, and then I hit the browser back button to go back to criteria, it would take me back to the criteria screen, but any criteria that I put in would be gone. So if you ever want to go to the criteria for a certain set of results, here's how you navigate. You do not use the browser back button. There's another function on the Refine button bar. It's called View As. Let's say I was getting ready to email these 4 listings to Jessica. I can come down here and I can pull up for some reason that's not working today, but if I could pull up, it should give me Jessica's name here, and it would show me if I've ever sent these to Jessica before, if they're out on her portal, if she's seen any of these listings. So you can avoid sending the same listings numerous times to the same client. The next button bar is Save. There's 2 different kinds of searches. There's a saved search, one that's just sitting in the system waiting for me to run. And there's the auto email search, the one that's working for me. Saved search, I just want this search saved in Matrix so I can come in and run it at any time. Here I would type in the search's name. And here's where, if I wanted to, I could put it on that favorite search home tab widget. So here's how I could save it and use it as that hot sheet, or just so that it's available to me at any given time. That's a saved search. one that's just sitting in Matrix waiting for me to run. Or I can save it as a new auto email. If I click on new auto email, to set someone up on an auto email, they must be a client. If you get to this point and they're not already a client, right from here, you can create them as a contact. First name, last name, email address at a minimum. Then they would have a portal. They would get full functionality of a portal. The subject line is the name of the search. Whatever I type in the subject is what it's going to say here. So in the subject line, put something meaningful to your client. There's two different emails associated with an auto notification. There's the welcome email, the first email that they get welcoming them to having a search. And then there's the recurring email, the one that goes out every time there's new matches found. Here's what's going to be in the email. You can add additional information if you'd like. If you add additional information and you want that additional information to be with any recurring email going forward for any of your searches, down here at the gear, you could save that as your recurring email, your default. The same with the welcome email. If you want to add something, you can type in additional information. Any additional information you type in would only be for this email, this welcome email, unless you go to settings and then you make it your default. Then it would be for all subsequent auto notifications. That's how the email, welcome email would look. As I move down, here's where, if I want to, I could put this search in concierge mode. Watch what happens to the days of the week when I put it in concierge mode. They go away because in concierge mode, the search is going to run constantly and it's going to notify me, the agent, if there's any matches. And then it's up to me when I approve them and my client sees them. If I put it in concierge mode, I can even tell it to send me a text, an email, and letting me know that I've got listings waiting for one of my clients. If I do not have it send me an email, I would just have to log in and it would show me on my home page that I have listings waiting. If I was to save this search now in concierge mode, the first thing it would do is show me all of the listings and give me the opportunity, if I wanted to reject any of them that I want. And then when I approve the rest or approved any of the rest, my welcome email would go to my client. If I turn concierge mode off, now my days of the week come back. I can tell the system to run the search every morning and look for new matches. I can tell the search to run every afternoon and look for new matches. I could have it run twice a day if I wanted to, morning and afternoon. Or I could select for this search, I only want emails to go out on the weekends, so I could have it run Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, not in concierge mode, if I hit save, it would immediately email the welcome email to my client. And the last button on the button bar is carts. That's if I wanted to put those 4 listings in one of my client's carts. I could select carts, select which client, let's say Gordon. Instead of 10, I'm going to add those 4. It only went up to 12 because 2 of those were already in his cart. So we'll only add any new ones. So that's the functions of the button bar, the way you can work with your grids, your different report views, how you can utilize your search results. The next type of search we're going to take a look at is a map search. I'm going to start a new search. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this link here and I'm going to do a map search. When you first go into map search, it's going to show you pretty much the whole MLS area. Take your map and put your map to the part of town that you typically work in. You'll notice it's clustering them together, but once I get under 500 listings, it'll actually show me the listings. When you get your map set, the area that you typically work in, the way you want your map to open up, you don't want to scroll and have to move it every time. Come up here to this gear and you can set that as your starting default. That way from then on, when you go to results, when you go to search by map, this is the way it would look. You could always move it for any given search wherever you needed to, but your default the next time you go in would be however you left it. To draw shapes on the map, there's 3 different shapes. There's a circle, there's the rectangle, there's the polygon. The circle is good for if, let's say, your client says they're going to work right here and they want to live within a mile of their office. You could come out a mile, you could click, it would set that shape. The rectangle works similar to the circle, where you would click to start a circle, click to end. With the rectangle, you'd click to start your rectangle, you draw your rectangle however you need to define the area. When you get it set, you click again. Then you also have the polygon. Polygon is a multi-sided shape. You can make it any way you need to. So I'm going to pick a polygon and I'm going to come down here and over here so I can make any shape that I want. I can come down here, I can come over here, I can come up here. I can make the shape. I'm clicking every time to set the shape. When I'm done, I need to tell the system, and I go back to the original dot, and I click again, and that'll set the shape. Now, the reason I drew this shape, the polygon this way, is my client told me they don't want to live along this street. So I drew this polygon along this street. I can come up here to this dot associated with the shape, and I can exclude that shape. Watch what happens to the homes inside of that shape when I click on it. It takes them out of my search results. By the same token, if the client tells me, you never tell the client that they don't want to live in this little pocket over here. I can draw another shape. I can set this shape and I can exclude. So this is good for if the client knows that they want to live in a certain area, but there's some pockets that they tell you they don't want to live in. You can take them out of your criteria. It's also good for, let's say you're doing statistics and you want statistics on an area, but you know in this part right here, it's a gated community with $1 million homes that are going to throw off your statistics. You could exclude that using a map search. Now when I go back to criteria, I've got 173 results, but I can go up here and say my client told me they can only afford between 150,000 and 200,000. That takes me down to 55 results. And I can also say they want at least 4 or more bedrooms. That'll take me down to 19. So your criteria screen and your map shapes work hand in hand. I could have put my criteria in first, and then when I went to the map, I'd only see homes that match. And now that I've got my criteria, my map shape, everything in, if I go to results, you'll notice it looks just the same as a form search. I've got the same icons, I've got the same reports, I've got the same button bar at the bottom, and I can work the same way with a map search as I would with the form search. There's another type of search in Matrix. I'm going to go home and I'm going to do a brand new search. There's the speed bar search. The speed bar is located right here. The speed bar is up in the menu system, so the speed bar is always across the top of your screen. And you can do things in the speed bar like type in MLS numbers, 397-868 and 507-922 and 568-222. I'm just leaving a space between all of these. I could put a comma between them, and I could type as many as I want in, and when I hit enter, it's going to show me those 3 listings. I can also type in an address, for example, 7816 Cedar Breaks. And it's going to show me any time that property has been on the market. This is where I would always go to search for an address rather than going to the residential search screen and typing in an active listing search for a residential listing, because this house may have a for sale sign in front of it, but it's actually pending or sold, or the sign needs to be pulled because it was withdrawn. Searching from the speed bar, it's going to find all occurrences of that listing, no matter what status. Or it would also return, if this is actually a multifamily dwelling, it would return the listing and show that it's a multifamily. So from the speed bar, the address search is all status, all property type search. But there's a lot else I can do with the speed bar. For example, I'm looking for active listings in El Paso, the city of El Paso, that are residential and priced between $300,000 and $500,000. I hit return. There's 231 of them. But maybe I only want ones with 4 or more beds, 3 or more baths. That takes me down to 193. Possibly I also only want ones between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet. I hit enter. That takes me down to 56. This information that I'm typing in here, I could have typed it in any order. I could have put square feet first, then I could have put the price, then I could have put El Paso. The only thing order matters on is beds and baths. Beds has to be first, followed by baths. But beds and baths could be the first thing in here. To learn what you're able to do by system default in speed bar, right here is the question mark. And here it will tell you what you can do. I've pretty much done all of the default. I could have put in acres, that type of thing, but pretty much this is what you can do in the speed bar by default. However, each of you have the ability to add up to 10 of your own speed bar shortcuts. So you can create your own speed bar shortcuts. I have one created that I called /POOL. That's for does it have a pool? If I hit enter, that takes me down to 10. I'm going to show you in a minute how to create a speed bar shortcut of your own. And again, you can have up to 10 of them. But before we do that, the speed bar isn't just for listings. I'm sure you've all been in the situation at some time or another that you're out on the road and you need to call another agent. You don't have their phone number. So you have to call the office, get someone to look it up for you, write it down on a piece of paper and call the agent. Going forward, all you need to do is go to your phone, your tablet, any computer, and type in AG for agent. And I know the first name starts with M, so I'm going to put M asterisk, and the last name is Lopez. I hit enter. Oh, there it is, Mario. And if I'm on my phone, if I clicked on that number, it would place the call. So if you're looking for an agent, AG space, the last name or the first name and last name. If you're looking for an office, OFF, and let's say I'm looking for a Coldwell Banker office, there's the Coldwell Banker office, and again, there's the phone number so I can contact them. And also there's their address if I'm looking to go to their office. To create your own speedbar shortcut, I start a new search. The first thing I do is I clear, because you'll notice active is checked. I may be looking for a sold listing sometime that has a pool or whatever. And then I define whatever I want my speedbar shortcut to be. Any information. I can even go as far as saying, okay, I want a speedbar shortcut because this part of town means something to me. So I want to be able from the speedbar to find listings within this area. So that's the criteria I put in. Only put in one piece of criteria. The criteria that is your speedbar shortcut. Because in the speedbar now that I've defined that map area, I could put in beds and baths or active listings in that area or whatever I needed to. Now that I have my speedbar shortcut criterion, I'd go to results, and down on this save button bar, you'll see new speedbar shortcut. When I click on that, you'll notice it put a slash in the beginning. Do not take that away. That's what defines it to the system as a user-defined speedbar shortcut. And I can call it anything I want. I'll remember map, so I'll just type in map. You'll notice I drew a map search for on the east side of town and the west side of town. You can put any information in your speedbar shortcut. Now when I hit save, that map area is available. So from a speedbar shortcut, I can go, okay, I'm looking for active residential listings in my map area. There's 69 of them. And I could say I want four more beds, and we're down to 11, so on and so forth. So now I've got a speedbar shortcut for that certain area of town. There's one last thing for me to show you today. Matrix automatically saves any search that you go to results on. And it saves the last 50 searches, 50, or the last 7 days, whichever is less. So if you do 6, 7 searches a day, it'll save a whole week's worth of searches automatically. So if I come up to recent searches, you'll notice here's all the searches we've been running. Here is the Coldwell. Here's my agent M. Lopez. Here's all the other searches we've done. Here's the MLS number search. Let's go back to the very search I did, first search I did today, and click on it. You'll see it took me back exactly where I was. I still have the 4 listings. This is the first search that we worked on, that we saved those 4 listings. We went through the button bar. So this is an awesome feature for if you're in the middle of something and you have to go do something else. You have to run another search, or you have to look up a client's phone number. You can easily go back to recent searches and pick right up where you were. Or, like I said, it'll hold up to a whole week. So if I had been in the system here, you'll notice I have a search that I ran last Friday, so I could jump back to that search. If So I want to go to one that I was working on this morning before the call. And let's say that I was working with somebody, came in my office, and I sat down with them, and they were looking for homes. And I did a search and everything. I printed out some listings and I sent them off with those listings. Now they call me back a couple hours later and they're like, you know, I really liked working with you. Could you set me up for auto notification? I can jump back to that search. It's kept my criteria. It's got all the information. So now all I'd have to do is go to save and save a new auto email, and they'd be set up. So again, the recent searches will save the last 50 searches, 50 or 7 days, whichever is less. As new searches come in, if you've got more than 50, the old ones will just roll off the bottom. Well, that, my friends, is Matrix. Like I said, it is live. I encourage all of you to start using it today as your primary system. I hope you enjoyed the session today and you learned a lot from it. And good luck with the system. Thank you all very much.